Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Arizona Sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
Devin Booker has two decisions to make over the longest offseason he has seen in years. Number one, do I still want to play with the Suns? An Eastern Conference general manager told Rick Bucher that the answer to that question is unclear at the moment and obviously a point of interest for teams like the Knicks. Question number two, do I still want to be legendary, and what do I need to make that happen? Because this past season, Booker was not the answer at point guard. He did not play defense with the same intensity he showed under Monty Williams. At times, he looked like the player his critics have long decried, a player whose stats exceed his overall impact. Now, this much is undeniable. There is an older generation of players who are clearly passing the torch. There is a new generation of players on the rise and being served, and Book is stuck somewhere in between when this is supposed to be his time for a hostile takeover. This is the time he's supposed to be doing what Anthony Edwards is doing, staking his claim as the new face of the NBA. So to be legendary, does Book think he needs a new narrative, a new venue, a new set of teammates, a new scene? Because to be legendary in Phoenix, Book must not only be better, he must set the example on defense, he must take the reins and lead the entire operation, he must invest even more in a franchise to which he has given so much already. And the bottom line is, let's hope a gold medal in Paris works wonders for his mood and his disposition. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
Yeah, roster-wise, everybody talks about the firepower, but, you look around the league, it comes down to the details. I don't want to keep saying that, but it's a super important thing. You can't just go out there and think you're going to win off talent. The game is more complicated than that.
That was Devin Booker 8 days ago after the Suns were swept out of the playoffs by the Minnesota Timberwolves. The question he was asked is, does he believe that this roster is good enough to win a championship? And a deflection of the question, but focusing on something that Devin Booker talked a lot about, especially in the playoffs, the details. Mm-hmm. Is that an indication that he doesn't believe that this roster is good enough? Can it get better? Look, you're asking a lot of very pertinent questions, and I went on record last week and I said, look, I don't think Devin Booker's going anywhere. I don't think he wants to go anywhere at this point. Mm-hmm. I don't, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, I felt very comfortable in saying that Devin Booker's going to be a lifelong Phoenix Sun.
Same.
I don't have that same confidence level now because to the point in your blast, what Devin Booker did in the 2021 postseason, first trip there, and remember how much crap got shoveled on top of Devin Booker early in his career. Mm-hmm. Played on bad team after bad team after bad team. Chris Paul joins the mix. Devin Booker elevates his game. He did have an Anthony Edwards ascension.
He did.
He didn't get the same love that Anthony Edwards is getting for what he's doing, certainly. Mm-hmm. And this is maybe a separate topic. With all of this, and there's a lot of silliness out there. I saw somebody suggest a blockbuster trade, Devin Booker to Utah, for draft picks, Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton. And Jazz fans were like, nope, don't want him. Not on my team.
Really?
Wow. Why? Do we know why Devin Booker is so disliked outside of Phoenix? I don't know. I don't know the reason for that.
Okay. I think there's any number of potential answers. But I do think that in the light of where his mindset is at, it's very much similar to what James Jones said about Kevin Durant, that we're going to need even more. You want to come back, great. We're going to need even more. I think that's the reality of it. And I think Devin Booker knows that when he looks at this roster and the way it's constructed. I do believe the people that said that playing point guard for a chunk of the season was not what he is, about or wants to do. I think this. You're right when you say Devin Booker's been through a lot of stuff, because if the Suns end up firing Frank Vogel, his replacement will be the 7th coach Devin Booker will have played for.
And next year will be his 10th year in the league.
Yes. And people are giving LeBron a lot of grief for going through 6 of them being a coach killer. Now, nobody would say that. Nobody in their right mind would say that about Devin Booker because he cycled through coaches because it was a clown carousel. Yeah. Your whole organization was adrift in dysfunction. Nothing to do with him, right? So when he went from Jeff Hornacek to Earl Watson to Jay Triano to Igor Kokoskov, when he went through that whole crew, none of that had to do with Devin Booker. None of that was Devin Booker going, hey, man, I need a head coach or I'm gone. But that stat, Devin Booker's somebody's going to latch on to that and call Devin Booker a coach killer. I guarantee
Igor Kokoskov.
I guarantee you somebody will accuse Devin Booker of that, and they will be wrong. It's not even close to being true.
But there's so many false narratives about him already out there. What's one more? I don't disagree with what you're saying.
No,
people will say that.
Well, because I think what people are right about is that neither Kevin Durant or Devin Booker seem to show the leadership or the sense of accountability that the moment demands.
But do you think, though, that it's fair to say that once the Suns did get good, that Devin Booker would have had input on moving on from Monty and from Frank Vogel?
Wait, say that again.
So it's unfair to call him a coach killer because 5 of those coaches were when the team was terrible and the ownership was terrible and everything was just out of control. Mm-hmm. But the last 2, if they move on from Frank Vogel, Monty Williams and Frank Vogel, you can argue that Devin Booker did have input on making those changes.
Probably. I mean, I would.
Yeah,
assume
I would.
So.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Just as I think Devin Booker and Kevin Durant had a lot of input on Frank Vogel getting the job last summer.
But I think Monty Williams. What did Monty Williams do over the last year and a half in Phoenix that warranted? So I don't put any of this on Devin Booker in terms of the coaching carousel in Phoenix. But I do agree that he needs to be a bigger, better player. He needs to be a leader. If this team is going to somehow make these pieces work, he is going to have to even be bigger and better and more vocal and more of a leader and a better defender. It's going to take a lot out of him. So if he wants just to be a 1B, he could be that somewhere else and maybe make a run at a championship. So these are heavy things I think he has to look for. Now, Devin Booker has never done things the easy way.
No.
So I still have a lot of love and a lot of hope for this. But I'm just, like I said, there was a time when I was very fearful that his need to be legendary like Kobe and the way he loved Kobe and revered Kobe, I thought one day this cat's going to want to play in Staples Center. He's going to want to be the Lakers' next superstar after LeBron. I don't feel that way about Devin Booker anymore.
No.
Because I've heard Devin Booker show reverence to a lot of players, not just Kobe. So, but I do think that this situation and at this juncture where the Suns are, they've got to thread a needle here to make him happy and to get from him what they need from him.
Yeah, and look, Kobe did things his way in Los Angeles, and you hear the legendary stories about how hard he was on his teammates and how demanding he was on his teammates. And he was a squeaky wheel. When he didn't like what was going on, he was very public about it. I remember Kobe Bryant's season ending here in Phoenix, and he was just sitting in that press conference and hearing him say, I need more help.
Remember the way he just, he just eviscerated his teammates. From Smush Parker to Kwame Brown.
Yes. And I'm not saying you got to go that far. You could borrow some of that. I think Devin Booker could borrow some of that. Maybe be a little bit more squeaky. Maybe he is behind the scenes.
Squeaky. There you go.
I don't know.
That's a good word.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.